Hello, 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 everybody. That's right. This is QD's Talk Time, and my name is LaQuisha Blair, but you can call me Q. So, let me just tell you about the weekend I had with my 3 teenage female grandbabies. Oh my goodness. So I decided to plan a weekend for my 3 granddaughters who are ages 16, 15, and 14. And my 14-year-old is about to turn 15 in just a few days, actually, this weekend. So the 16-year-old is Messiah. The 15-year-old is Jemiah, and the 14-year-old is Samaria, who is about to turn 15. Yes, they're almost stair-stepped. 2 of them belong to my oldest daughter, Amelia. That's Messiah and Jemiah. And Samaria belongs to my son, my one and only son. Well, I decided I was going to plan this wonderful weekend with my 3 granddaughters, and my fiance and I were going to take them and go on this nice weekend trip, and I had it all planned out. So here's the trip, okay? I decided, and I've been working on this for a couple weeks. I just couldn't decide where we wanted to go. And with teenage girls, what can you do with teenage girls? I was trying to think of something that was going to be fun for them and something that wasn't going to bore my fiance to death, bless his heart. So I planned this trip and I thought, this is going to be so great. Well, as you all know, I live in East Tennessee. And in East Tennessee, we have a lot of natural surroundings. And when I say natural surroundings, I mean we have the mountains, and we have caves, and we have, lakes and rivers and this kind of thing. So I decided there's a place called the Lost Sea. And it's actually located in Sweetwater, Tennessee, which is I'd say probably about an hour's drive from where I live. So I decided that would be part of our trip, to go to the Lost Sea and just kind of take the little tour, and I'll tell you about it just a second. And I apologize, I am actually in my car doing this because it's the only quiet place I could find, really. So I decided to come outside and get in my car and do this. But anyway, so we ended up going to the Lost Sea and just, enjoying ourselves. So let me tell you about the Lost Sea. So the Lost Sea is a place, like I said, it's located in Sweetwater, Tennessee, here in the U.S. And what it is, it's one of the largest caves underground, with an underground lake in the U.S., in the United States. And so here's what happened. Way back when, and I can't remember how long ago, I want to say, let me see if I can look it up. I want to say it was in the early 1900s, may even have been before then, but I'm going to see if I can look it up while I'm telling you this story. So anyway, there was this 14-year-old boy who was out doing some exploring in his area where he lived, which happened to be in Sweetwater. Now, the key point to this is Sweetwater during this period of time was having a major drought. And so people were, really conserving water during this period. And so what happened was the little boy, during the period of time where he was kind of roaming around in the woods looking for just whatever. I don't know if he was actually looking for water or if he was just kind of being a 14-year-old kid and just kind of, wandering around the woods, looking for animals or just kind of playing with sticks or whatever they do, back then. But anyway, he went looking, playing around out in the middle of the woods and found a cave and decided to go exploring in this cave. So while he was in the cave, just kind of looking around, it was pitch dark and he couldn't see anything, and it was slippery in the cave, and he slid and kind of went down this tunnel. He slid down this tunnel and fell into this lake. And when he realized that he was in the water, he thought, oh my God, let me go run and tell my dad. Well, when he finally made his way out of the cave, he went and told his dad about it, but his dad didn't believe him. And so weeks went by and he kept saying, but Dad, I know where we can get water. I promise you there's water here in this cave. Well, he finally talked his dad into going to this cave, and his dad went, and lo and behold, he found the water. And of course, that's the story of the Lost Sea. So they were able to get water. Now, here's what I found out during this tour, and I'll tell you more about the girls here in just a second, but I want to tell you about this tour. So during this tour that we were taking, they were talking about how the cave was discovered originally, even before this 14-year-old boy found it. Well, back in the 1800s, the Indians used to live in this big cave, and because it stayed in this cave, it stayed on average about 72 degrees Fahrenheit constantly. The air never changed. The temperature never changed. So it was very comfortable for them, and they lived in this cave. Well, after, say later on in the 1800s, after the war, the Civil War, well, the soldiers during the Civil War decided that when they found the cave and they found the Indians in the cave, they decided that they were going to take over the cave. They even tried to build a bar down in the cave, but of course, because the bar was so far below sea level and they sold alcohol down there, when they came up to above sea level, they were so drunk they couldn't remember anything, and so it ended up they would close the bar. It was causing too many problems, so they would close the bar. So that was the story of how this all came about. Well, I wanted to take the girls because nowadays, fast forward to 2022, this cave is a kind of like a national museum of the history of Sweetwater, the history of East Tennessee. And so what they've done is they've commercialized it. They've made a tour where you could go down in this place, and you could then take this tour, and once you get down to the bottom of the tour, once you get down to the very bottom of the cave, you could actually take a boat ride in the lake. So it's pretty cool. So that's what we did. So now here goes the story of the girls. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I pick up my 3 granddaughters Saturday morning. Now, mind you, I have been currently I'm working a third shift job, meaning I go in at 11 p.m. at night and don't get off till 7 a.m. in the morning. So I'm at work and I'm thinking this whole time while I'm at work, okay, as soon as I get off work, I'm going to go home and make sure I have everything packed, make sure Dee has everything packed so that we can both, and Dee is my fiance, by the way, and so that we can both get ready to take these girls to this adventure that we've planned for this weekend. Well, I get off work, I go pick Dee up from work because he works a third shift job as well. So I go pick him up and we're both exhausted because we've worked all day. So we're so tired. So we go and we go home and we make sure we have everything packed. And then we decide we're going to take a little bit of a nap. So now, mind you, we get off at, 6:30, 7 o'clock. And by the time we got home, it was about 7:30. So we had enough time. We fixed a little bite to eat, which, brought us till like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we ended up just falling asleep, taking a nap. It was such a long day. We just decided to take a nap. So, in the meantime, of all of this, we finally get up at about 11 a.m. because I wanted to pick the girls up by 12:30 because it takes an hour to drive from where I live to Sweetwater, Tennessee, which is where the Lost Sea Adventure is located. So we go pick up the girls and they are so bubbly. I mean, you can imagine 3 teenage girls. They are so bubbly, full of energy. And we're like these 2 old people who are struggling to keep up. So I get them picked up and Dee is, he's kind of napping on this drive because we got to drive for about an hour. The girls are sitting in the back seat. They're cackling and giggling and talking about whatever. I don't even know because I'm trying to concentrate on the road. And I'm still so tired, I don't want to fall asleep. So I have the music going, and it's this kind of, some of it is rap music that the kids like. No cussing in it. I don't like all the cussing and stuff. But it's really old school rap, like, way back when I was a kid, before they came out with all the cuss words. So I've got this old school rap on and I'm like, do you remember, do you know what kind of, do you remember the music, that was playing? And they're like, Nana, what are we listening to? So they were having a problem with my style of music, by the way. So anyway, I just put it on some R&B music so that they could listen to it and sing along, some Beyonce or some Rihanna. So they were listening to their music and everything. And then we finally get to the Lost Sea. And I was really excited because I haven't been to this place since I was a kid. I mean, I went there I think I was probably about 10 or 12 years old when I last went down to, take this adventure. So I know it was going to be, really fun. So by the time we get down to the place where we're supposed to park and we walk, of course it is hot as I don't know what outside. It's like 82 degrees by this point at like 12. It's 2:30 in the afternoon and it's about 82 degrees. And the adventure, the walk, which is about a mile down to the lake, the lake inside the cave, and then it's a mile walk back. So going down into the cave, all of us are walking, and of course the tour guide is telling us about the different formations in the cave, the stalagmites, the stalactites, all the different formations. They're all named, and he's giving us this big wonderful speech on how the cave was discovered and who discovered it. The 14-year-old boy that I was talking about earlier, how he discovered it, and he's telling the story, and we're all walking around looking at everything, and the girls are having a ball. They're just laughing and giggling and carrying on, and and it's really dark in this cave. Now, they have these stringed lights going along the trail of this cave, and it's very steep. So in the cave, it's going down below sea level. So we're gradually going further and further down underground. As we're going through this cave, it's getting lower and lower and lower, and the hill, we're walking down a hill. Now, I know if you go down a hill, eventually you're going to have to come back up, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was just really enjoying being in the moment, and I was taking pictures of the girls and taking pictures of me and Dee, and we're just, both of us are enjoying watching the girls have a good time. They're really enjoying themselves. We get further down and we start to see the water. There's a waterfall underground in this cave, and it's beautiful. And so there's a couple of them actually. And so we are looking at the waterfall, and we're like, oh, we're getting close to the water. We're getting close to the lake. So as we get down to the lake, we go in and we walk out on the I don't know what you call it. It's like a bridge to where you go to the boats, the ferry bridge. So we walk out on the ferry bridge, and mind you, we are in a cave, and it is really dark in there, but it's lit up with these lanterns as we're going down through here. So it's kind of a glow. So it's kind of got this this orange glow. And on top of that, you've got the water. So we're down at the lake by this time. And the lake is filled with these rainbow trout. And they are everywhere. These large, huge rainbow trout are everywhere. And they're telling us that the water in the lake is probably about 14 feet deep at its deepest point. And there is the lake itself, I want to say it's about the size of a football field, which is about, I don't know, 120 yards, I want to say. It's the size of an American football field. So as you are, we finally get on the boat. Now, the boat itself is the way the boat is set up, when you get on the boat, you can sit on the left side or the right side, and there's this bar in the middle so that you can hold on as you're climbing down into the boat. So we're all climbing down into the boat, and the girls are just hysterical because, of course, the boat is rocking. And they can look over and see the fish, kind of swimming around in the lake. And we're in a cave. And so we get in the boat and they're like, freaking out. And so we're just going along, and we get out in the middle of the boat, and they feed the fish. They throw some bread out, and they're talking about how big this cave is. And they tell us about another part of the cavern that they haven't been able to open yet, because every time they try to go over in there, part of the land collapses down on them. So they're not able to explore any further. They're still working on that part. But the part of the cave that we're in is the largest underground lake in the continental United States. And so we are just really enjoying ourselves at this point. So we go back, and there's a point, and I believe it was like before we got down to the bottom, where we go up there and they turn off all the lights. And I've never seen darkness to the point where you can't see anything. I mean, when they turn out the lights, the darkness is so dense, you could put your hand in front of your face and not be able to see it. So it is really scary. So they turned off the lights, and all you can hear is the little kids screaming, including my 3 granddaughters. And, and it was just so funny. And so they turned the lights back on. They only let them stay off for just a few minutes so you can experience what it was like to live in that cave as one of the Indians, because that's what they did. So anyway, by the time this was over, we had to turn around after we got out of the boat and started back up the hill. Now, remember I said we had to walk down a mile into this cave, and it was downhill all the way and very steep. Well, coming back, of course, we have to walk uphill, and it's very steep. When I tell you my legs were killing me, my muscles were so sore. I'm walking up this hill, and at one point, Dee is having to drag me up the hill because I'm so tired. And we would walk like maybe 30 feet, and then there's a place where we could sit and rest. And then we would walk another, I'd say probably a quarter of a mile. We'd walk a quarter of a mile, and then we could sit down and rest. And then we'd walk another quarter mile. We could sit down and rest. Well, they had the benches at every landing. So you would walk up this really steep hill, and then there was some benches, a rest area where you could sit and rest. And he would allow you to rest like maybe about a minute, literally. Probably about 60 seconds, no more than 2 minutes, and then he was ready to go again. And I'm talking about the tour guide. He would let you rest for maybe 2 minutes, and then he was ready to go again. So and by the way, the girls are they're taking off. They have so much energy. All 3 girls are just, Nana, come on, hurry up, let's go. And Nana is like dying back here. I'm breathing heavy. I'm heart palpitations. I feel like my heart's about to explode because I haven't done this much exercise in I don't know how long. So at this point, I'm feeling like I'm about 90 years old trying to get up this hill. And poor Dee D was so tired, but he was trying to help me. And I'm like, just go on without me. I felt like I was just, I felt like walking with Moses. I'm like telling him, just go on without me. I'll get there. I'm coming. So I'm taking my time trying to get up this hill, because if I was to try to walk any faster, I'd have probably fell out. That's how steep this hill was. So I get to the point where I can rest, and I felt so terrible because all these young kids are, there's a bunch of young kids there, because it was a group of people, not just me and the girls and Dee. It was a lot more people that were there, probably about 30 people in this group altogether. And all the kids that are there are just kind of looking at me like, why is she breathing so heavy? And I was so tired. And now, mind you, I've been up all this time. I hadn't had much sleep. I think we may have gotten maybe 30 minutes of sleep, but it wasn't sleep. It was just laying down for 30 minutes before we ever went and picked up the girls, and we just got off work. So all of that on top of walking through this cave. And so we finally made it up to the top of the cave, back to civilization. And so the girls are running around. We're in the gift shop, and the girls are running around like, Nana, I want to buy something in the gift shop. And I'm like, okay, great, that's fine, just go pick out something. So they're in the gift shop walking around. I'm still sitting down trying to catch my breath. I am just that tired. I could not. It took me probably about a good 15 minutes to catch my breath to a point where I was able to talk and breathe at the same time. That's how bad it was. I was so out of breath, I could hardly talk. Which brings up the fact that I really need to get in shape, because I did not realize how bad out of shape I was, how unathletic I was, until I start dealing with my 14, 15, and 16-year-old granddaughters. Oh my goodness. And I love them. They are so beautiful. And oh my God, the amount of energy they have. So anyway, we go on and they go to the gift shop. Well, we ended up, because we were going to Chattanooga. So from the Lost Sea Adventure in Sweetwater, we ended up driving another hour 15 minutes to Chattanooga. And when we get to Chattanooga, I had booked a hotel, and I made sure it was a hotel with a swimming pool, so that, the girls could spend the rest of the day playing in the pool. That was my plan. I was just going to kind of relax. This was my plan in my head. I was going to relax, maybe stop and get me a bottle of wine. Dee and I would have a glass of wine, watch a little TV while the girls played in the pool. Well, that's my idea that I had. What actually happened, we got to the hotel and we got checked in the hotel, and then the girls decided they wanted something to eat. So we ended up going to this restaurant and getting something to eat. I think we went and got, I think we ended up getting Chinese food, I think is what we ended up getting. But we went and got something to eat, and we got ice cream or something, I think, and ended up coming back to the hotel. Well, by the time we got back to the hotel, it had started to cool down outside a little bit, because I think the temperature ended up getting up to about 86, 87 degrees that day. So it was starting to cool down just a little bit, and we were able to finally kind of cool off, because it was really hot. And so we got back to the hotel, and the girls decided they were going to go swimming. So all three girls, they were going to go swimming. Well, Messiah, the oldest girl, she decided she didn't want to go swimming. She wanted to just kind of hang out in the room, which our rooms were awesome because they were right next to the pool. I mean, literally, you could walk out of our door and go jump in the pool. That's how close we were. Maybe 3 steps and you were at the pool. So the girls ended up, we had 2 rooms, and the girls ended up going swimming. Jemiah and Samaria, the 2 youngest girls, they went swimming. Messiah, the oldest daughter, she stayed in the room and just played on her phone. Well, Dee and I had adjoining rooms right next door to them. And so we decided we were going to, now our plan was to watch a little television. Let me tell you, we pulled our shoes off, we climbed in the bed, and that's as far as we got. I didn't get to drink any wine. I didn't even get to put my night clothes on. I think I woke up because I fell asleep, and I woke up because I realized, oh no, it's getting late and the girls are still in the pool. So I jump up out of the bed and I open up the door and I look, and of course the girls weren't in the pool. And so I knocked on the door and I was like, girls, are you in your room? And they were like, yes, they're in their room. So they were in their room. They had taken their shower and everything. And they were just kind of palling out on the bed, watching TV and, having a girls' night, as teenage girls do. And so I'm like, okay, well, Nana's in her room. If you need me, let me know. Bam on the door, call me, whatever. I said, I'm going to lay back down. So I laid down. I ended up putting my night clothes on and laid back down. I think at some point during the night, Dee may have woken up and pulled his pants off, because he fell asleep with his pants and his shoes and his jacket, everything. He was fully clothed when he fell asleep. That's how tired we were. So we woke up, I guess about 9 o'clock the next morning, and we were like, we were supposed to check out at 11. So we woke up at 9, and then of course I called the girls. I'm getting everything ready for us to get ready and check out, because we only had the room for one night. And so I called the girls and made sure they were up, and I'm still so tired. Dee is still so tired, but we're troopers. The old people that we are, we're still troopers. We get up and go, so we ended up, I had bought these tickets to this place in Chattanooga, and it's called a selfie studio. Now, a selfie studio, if you don't know what that is, it's this big, huge studio that they have, and it's a building, and they have all these different little booths in there that are set up, and you just go and take pictures in these different booths, and each booth has its own scenery. Like one booth, it was set up like a little ice cream parlor. The next booth was set up like a school locker room. The next booth was set up like a stage, like you were singing on a stage. The next booth was set up like this bathtub, and it had all these little balls in it, like you were taking a bubble bath. They had another booth that was set up like a jail cell. They had another booth that was set up like an exercise room, like you were, doing all these exercises. They had a couple of them that were set up like just your sofa in your living room. They had one set up, it was like a happy birthday booth. They had one set up like a telephone booth. I mean, there was about 25 different rooms that you could go and take pictures. And I thought, okay, 3 teenage girls What better thing to do than to let them go and take selfies? So that's what we did. I took them, and our tickets were only supposed to be for an hour, but we were the only ones in there. And so the young lady, she was absolutely wonderful. The Selfie Museum in Chattanooga, she was absolutely wonderful. And we ended up staying in there probably about 2.5 hours, to be honest with you. I found every bit of 2.5 hours. And then after we left there, of course, Dee was sitting there. He was on his phone. He was so tired, but he was on his phone looking at sports events, as men do, you know, when women are doing their thing, and he's the only guy. I kind of felt bad for him, but at the same time, I was like, you know, this is the first time that he's spent any time with me and the grandbaby, so it was really kind of cool. But anyway, we ended up going after we left the selfie studio, and we, like I said, we were there for about 2.5 hours. We ended up going to downtown Chattanooga, where they were celebrating Juneteenth. Now, if you don't know what Juneteenth is, it's the very last day that the last of the slaves were told that they were free. And this all happened in Texas, but it's the last day that the slaves were told that they were free. So we went downtown to where the aquarium is in Chattanooga, down by the river, and we found a water park, and we kind of played in the water park. Now, the whole time we're at the water park, Dee is in the car. He's asleep. He's like, I'm tired. I don't want to go. You guys go. Have a good time. So I left the keys with him, and I left the car running and the air conditioning on, and he had plenty of water. And so I took the kids around the corner, maybe 5 or 10 feet, and they were at the water park. So they played at the water park. And then let me tell you what they did. They talked me into going up to go get ice cream. Now, guess where this ice cream was? Yes, at the top of a hill. I walked again at the top of this hill. I was so hot and so tired because there was no trees around, no shade. And then, of course, when I got to the top of the hill, of course, there was some benches. And I was so out of breath, I had to sit down. I told the girls, I was like, y'all just go ahead. I can't. So they went on up to the top of the hill to get ice cream. And they were up there for so long, I thought, let me just go on up there and see what's going on. Well, I went up there, and they were still waiting on their ice cream. And then, of course, we all walked back down the bottom of the hill and made our way to the car. And, of course, when we get to the car, Dee's sitting in the car asleep. He's knocked out. He's sound asleep. So we ended up driving back home. And let me tell you, the moral of the story is, if you are feeling like you are too old, you probably are. You probably are. Because I tell you, I am 56 years old. And I like to think I'm full of energy. But let me tell you, those girls wore me out. I mean, they whipped my behind. They wore me out. I was so exhausted, so tired. So that is yet another reason for me to get into shape. Another reason for me to do this exercise journey that I'm doing, do this weight loss journey that I'm doing, because I realize I can't hang with my grandbabies. I can't hang with them. And I want to be able to enjoy them and do lots of activities with them. And that's the teenagers. I'm still planning a trip for my 8 and 9-year-old. So you guys are going to have to wish me luck, because it's going to be one of those another adventure kind of deals. So this was like, the teens and the old people. Dee and I both were talking about this afterwards, and I was like, I told Dee, I said, baby, I felt so old. He was like, yeah, I felt so drained and so old. He was like, we are old people, honey. And I was like, we're not that old, and get this, he's younger than me. And I'm like, we're not that old. I don't want to be that old. I want to be full of energy like they are. And I know I'm 56 years old, but at the same time, 56 is not old. 56 is very young, actually. Very young. And I am getting my butt back in shape. I have got to, get some stamina behind me, get some energy, so that I can keep up with my granddaughters and my grandson. My grandson is 9 years old, and I want to be able to chase him around. So I guess that's going to be the thing. This was our first trip in a little while. It won't be our last, but I tell you what, the next trip that we have, they won't be dragging Nana around. Let me tell you, because that's exactly what they did. They drug me all over that adventure at the Lost Sea. They drug me all over the hotel. I mean, I just felt so wore out. And then they drug me all over the park when we got to the park. Oh my goodness. I just felt whipped. But they had such a great time. They had a blast, and I am so happy and so blessed that I was able to share that time with them and spend some quality time with my granddaughters. I wanted it to be just us, and it was. And I think it was very important that Dee got to spend time with us so he could see what it was like, because he is just one of these people. He's kind of a loner. And he's not used to being around a whole bunch of family and a whole bunch of kids. And since he has moved down here, it has been an adventure for him, getting to know the kids and getting to know the grandbabies. I mean, he's talked to them and he's met them before, but he's not had the opportunity to spend time. And so now he's got that opportunity, and it's so much fun to watch. It's so funny. So I hope you've enjoyed this story. It's been a crazy one about my granddaughters and our weekend adventure. I just had a blast, and I know I'm so very blessed. But I hope you've enjoyed this story. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me talk about my grandbabies and my family. I hope you are having some adventures with your family, and you are able to tell some of these stories as well. It's so important that we spend quality time with our family as much as we possibly can, because when it comes down to it, that's all we have. Family is all we have, So, I guess I am going to wrap this up by saying you are listening to QD's Talk Time. My name is LaQuisha Blair, but you can call me Q. All of my friends do. And I hope you guys are one of my friends as well. And remember, God loves you, I love you and keep looking up. God bless. Bye-bye.